Gentlemen, welcome to week 7. We had some interesting scores last week, some upsets, which is always good to see. And so we're going to recap the week. We're going to hand out the necessary awards of the week and then get into the updated power rankings, sponsored by the incredible formulas that go on in my brain. We are welcomed here with a special guest this week, the owner and GM of the Huntsville Hitmen, Big Mike. How we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm filling in for Rex this week, so I'm going to try and put on my Rex cap as best I can today and act like him. So if I say anything that's not smart, just know that that's where it's coming from.
I think a good bit that we could introduce this week is I'll ask you a few questions. You'll answer them, and then I'll ask you to answer them as if you were Rex.
Oh, okay.
And do
Oh,
your
I like
best. Do your best VP impersonation. I think that could be good. So, the Bond County Coonhounds end up taking down their rival, the Shadow Troop. It came down to quite literally the last drive. Justin Herbert fucking sucked. And the Bond County Coonhounds come out victorious. Now at 3-3, and with a favorable schedule ahead of them, it could be good news in Bond County. The Clark County Crusaders lose a tough one in California to the Cali Pigs, getting their first win since the Nick Chubb injury. The Beecher Creatures pulling off an upset in St. Louis, and I'm not sure if you can hear that semi outside, but it's fucking nuts.
I think I heard it faintly, just a little bit.
Okay. Like I said, the Beecher Creatures outscoring the St. Louis Looters. Tough for St. Louis, but they're still at 4-2. Things are trending up in Beecher. The Dallas Dragons taking down one of the Super Bowl favorites this year. Only scoring 103, but not needing that much, with Bear Boobs only scoring 73.4. And Battle the Blood Brothers, Tennessee only amassing a 75 points.
No
The
surprise.
Huntsville Hitmen, another team trending upward, scoring 119.5 to come out victorious. Mike, how'd you feel about last week? The matchups overall, and then your specific matchup with Chase.
So I thought it was really fun to see 3 matchups come down to Monday Night Football. I think heading into this week, we definitely wanted. There was some chance for some teams to really kind of pull away. I think Sam had the opportunity to be 5-1. Same with Dylan. But now we've got 9 teams all clumped together by like 2 wins. So it's literally anybody's ball game. So I think it was a really good week all around. Anytime Torbeck loses, it's a good day in the GFA. Yeah, I did now just notice that Chase would have beat Sam if they played each other last week, and that would have been the funniest thing I've ever seen. If you told me Chase was going to score 75 points and beat the league champ, I would never have believed you.
Absolutely nuts. Honestly, Chase, if you wanted to spin zone this whole thing, you could take it as a win, like a moral win, in a lot of different ways. So
yeah, and then my matchup with Chase, I mean, that's no competition. As we kick their ass every year. I posted the Embiid meme. He is the 76ers and I am the Celtics, and I spank his ass every year, every time we play each other. So maybe next year, it's not likely. Maybe the year after that, also not likely. But yeah, I don't think he'll ever get a win against me.
do you play him again at all this year?
I think maybe towards the end. Actually, no. I think this is the only time I play him this year. I think the schedules go back through the top like week 10.
Okay.
So I'll play the first few weeks. So I think I've got like Dylan, you, and Rex to finish out my season.
Tough end of the season schedule.
It is. It's gonna be a hard. So I'm trying to win all I can right now in the middle.
Yeah. As far as busts, we didn't really have any. There was one big brain baller move, I guess you could say. Everybody was pretty efficient and pretty smart with who they played. I had Chuba Hubbard here at 15.5. Oh, that's Derrick Henry. Before this, he had only scored a total of 7.9 points. And so he absolutely needed him to go off for the 15.5 that he did. And so we'll go ahead and give Ryan that. Urban Meyer Manager of the Week. I don't think that we can give it to Sam. So we have to give it to Tennessee.
Is this number 3?
I think this is his third Urban
We need
Meyer.
we need a counter. We need something. Someone needs to keep track of these. Chase, you're just throwing up terrible stats left and right.
I mean, if you can't come up with a better option than Samaje Perine.
I did look at the waiver wire, and there was no better options.
It's tough. I mean, you're just yeah, it is rough across the board.
Yeah, his team, and I mean, everybody just pissed down their legs.
And unfortunately, like his other option to play would have been Dak Prescott. Like, but when Tua goes off for 22, it's negligible. It wouldn't have made a difference. So congratulations to Chase Holmes. So let's go ahead and the Madden Manager of the Week. I almost forgot. It was between two people. It was between Rex and Ryan, the Cali Pigs. They both needed the win. They both needed to get to that 2-4 spot. Josh said, would you trade Kmet and Shaheed for Andrews? Absolutely. We've got some. Can you see these comments in here, Mike?
No.
Okay, so Josh says, would you trade Kmet and I'm assuming it's Rashid Shaheed for Andrews, obviously.
Yes.
Rate my 20-man PPR. Russ, JT, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Kmet, and Jacoby Myers. I mean, if we're ranking like out of 10 PPR, Jacoby Myers, dog. Christian Kirk,
like 20 people in the league.
20-man PPR team. If you have 20 people in your league and that's the squad that you have, how are you just like running away with the league? Because
if you got Aaron Jones, Tyreek, and JT in a 20-man,
yeah, 20 people. You've got to be fucking everybody up.
Yeah, especially having Jacoby Myers.
Yeah,
he's popped off.
What is your Josh? If you're still watching, what's your record in the league?
He's got to be at least like 4-2.
If he's not undefeated, I'd be surprised, but 4-2. Wow. Okay.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He said, no, there's one other guy whose team is insane. I'm assuming the other 18 people just don't know ball because the way that you grabbed that, and you probably have no depth on your bench. Nobody probably does. But yeah, no. Josh, good to have you. So, Mike, let's go ahead and get into the power rankings this week. Currently, as it stands, playoff picture: Bear Boobs and Clark County Crusaders still 1 seeds. St. Louis Looters and look at this, we got the Hitmen
sneaking up there, baby.
And then we got Dallas Dragons and the Bond County Coonhounds in the playoffs as well. Oh
my god, what a first round matchup that would be! If I just shit on Torbeck in the playoffs, he would have to retire.
Yeah, so we got but like you said, there's so many teams that are so close in this league.
It's anybody's game.
And at -1, and that is our 10th spot in the power rankings, the Tennessee Colonels. I mean, there's a reason, obviously. I don't know if we've ever, I mean, at least in this league, somebody to constantly just be projected under 100 points, and not even that, like under 90 points, week in and week out. It is tough, but they've got the construction crew in Tennessee. They're rebuilding. So we'll hope for better days for the Colonels. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a next year project out in Rocky Top. Yeah, not much hope for this year. If he needs his best week and your worst week to pull off a win, and that's probably
that
true
still
every week.
might not be enough.
Yeah, if he gets one more win this year, I think he needs to consider that a win.
Absolutely.
But he's probably praying for a losses so he gets the draft picks.
Now, let's move on to number 9. Now, this is going to be a little contentious here. And I don't want to say I was right, but I was.
You were
0-3 since I mentioned it. And we've got the Shadow Troop absolutely trending down for Parker Lutz and the Shadow Troop. Tough loss last week. It was a close one.
It was.
However, when you look at the past few weeks, obviously week 6, we talked about week 5, 104. So still staying around the 100 mark range, and then only scoring 86 in week 4. The Shadow Troop are desperate to get back in the win column this week, and going up against a Beecher Creature team that is fiery hot right now. 2 wins in a row. One of the highest scoring teams in the league, but unlucky with what he's gone up against. I've got the Shadow Troop at 9 until proven otherwise. I think that is my stance right now. I'm right until further notice.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you start off 3-0, you lose 3, and now you're going up against teams that are getting hot. It's not a good look. I would say his saving grace is that he's made some moves, so maybe those new pieces will come into the clubhouse and kind of rejuvenate things. But I think he's desperate for a win, so he doesn't fall under 500.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be tough, because I'm not sure that his upcoming schedule is very favorable. He's got the Looters next week, and then he's got the Crusaders in week 9. You would hate to be 3-6 after week 9.
Yeah.
Taking 6 losses in a row. That would be tough. Let's move on. Number 8, the Cali Pigs getting a win last week. This is good. This team, I keep saying, although it lacks depth, this is the first win since he lost Nick Chubb, but you cannot expect to just get a easy win anytime you play this team, because they will put up, about 100 points. And like we saw last week, 120, he can still pop off. I think this has spoiler team for the rest of the year written all over it. Your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, we've got the battle of the 2 college roommates going at it in the Kemp house. Ryan definitely still has that top elite tier talent in his lineup that could pop off for 30 to 40, right? He's still got some of those big names. Depth, not so much. But as long as if those guys just pop off, it doesn't matter,
Now,
So,
I want you to answer it like our vice president would.
could you click on his team real quick? So if I'm Rex, I'm probably looking at AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, TJ Hawkinson as trade targets. I'm kidding. That's what goes through Rex's mind. Who can I scalp off teams?
All right, let's move on to number 7. We said he's trending up. I can't remember if he was 7 or 8 last week, but we've got the Beecher Creatures. this team, he's hot. He's shown that he can score. He has one of the highest scoring weeks this year. And this team doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. It's kind of like you finally got this train going downhill. And I think this is a team that you would hate to have on your schedule coming up, especially here before he goes on any sort of his big bye weeks. Luckily, I've got him. I also have a ton of buys in the week that I play him, but so does he. So, but these next few opponents, I would not want to be them. Mike, your thoughts on the Beecher Creatures?
Yeah, they're coming off 2 wins to 2 of the better teams in the league. They're starting to heat up. And honestly, per Rex, this is kind of where he wants to be, right? He wants to be ranked around 7 on that outside picture looking in. I think in years past, anytime he's been ranked really high, his team has not performed. So I think 7 is that perfect spot for him. Still tons of room to grow. Obviously, he's still got rookies that are continually getting better. Zay Flowers is moving to the starting lineup. Puka Nacua is still going to be a solid piece. Bijan's looked really good this year.
Goddard has seen way more targets this last week.
Yes, Goddard started off really slow. The Bears' offense is starting to click a little bit better. DJ Moore's kind of figured it out. So this is and the depth, right? Like it doesn't. If this entire lineup was on bye, he's got an entire lineup that he could play, and they're probably still projected 110 a week. So he's got the pieces there. The question is, will these pieces still be here by week 9? He may trade everybody. You never know. This entire team could be new by next week.
He is the quintessential example of constant lineup tinkering.
It's like that ADHD kid that can't anytime he changes his room, he just has to go in next week and change it up again.
I feel like he gets itchy and he's got to. I actually did go through and I tried to look because we had this conversation of who's made the most moves, trade wise, all these things. So number 1 is far and away the Shadow Troop. They have made the most trades by far out of anybody.
Really?
And then it is the Beecher Creatures after that. So that is but it is something that I feel like Rex does. But it's starting to work, the system that he's built. So we'll see. I am rooting for Rex this week, obviously. And I would like to see an 0-4 team, claw its way back to 500. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think he definitely. I think he has the schedule to do it, and I think he has the team to do it. We'll see if he gets there. But the future looks good.
Coming in at number 6, Michael, it's yourself.
Yes, sir.
I really like your team. I say it every time, and I was saying this before you guys got hot. This is, it's not a sneaky team anymore. It is a quality team that you've built. You've got depth, and you've got some big hitters. You've got guys that can pop off. I think that's always a key. Your floor is pretty high. As we've seen your consistency sort of build with this team. And I think that this matchup with you and Dragon, we talked about it earlier, but that it is kind of that battle of who's 5th, who's 6th in the pecking order in the power rankings. And I absolutely think that this is a playoff team. Mike, your thoughts on your team and their odds going forward? How confident do you feel moving forward? You've got Dragon this week. You've got the Cali Pigs the week after, and you've got Bear Boobs in week 9. You end the season with a very tough 3.
Yeah.
So where do you think you need to be at week 10 getting ready to head into that gauntlet?
I think I definitely need to win the next 2 matchups. And if I could sneak out a win between Boobs or Crusaders, I'd be happy.
Okay.
But my team were won 2 in a row, looking to win a third, looking to go positive, be looking at 4-3. I think the team overall is very consistent. I think the last 4 weeks I've consistently put up 110 plus. I still think I need to be on the search for maybe cashing in 2 or 3 players for one more big hitter to insert in there, because it seems like my players are always very injury prone. So I can't afford to lose. If Debo goes down, that means a lot. So, but I think it's trending in the right direction. Probably make 1 or 2 more moves before the trade deadline, and hopefully get myself in a really good position come playoff time.
Mm-hmm. I'm 100% agree. Moving on to number 5, a team trending down just a little bit here. The Dallas Dragons. I've got at number 5, who you're going up against this week. In the past weeks, Dragon got lucky with a uncharacteristic performance from Sam, and then he did score 129 against the Pigs, but not needing to put up that many points with them scoring 110. And that he had the 54.5 against
That's a stinker.
the Crusaders. He had 119 against the Colonels. He has not had. He's had a lot of teams score.
Yeah, second
Not
lowest
that much.
points against in the league. Second lowest points against,
Second
and the
lowest points
second lowest points for, I believe.
Mhm.
So I think we definitely need to see. It seems like he's a little boom or bust. I mean, we've seen his floor at 54 and 70, but we've also seen him be able to score in the upper echelon of teams per week.
Mm-hmm.
Some more consistency out of him would be nice. I think he's kind of in the same boat with me, where I think he maybe needs 1 or 2 more pieces that really can solidify him as a playoff team. Especially because it does seem like some of his players get banged up too, right? Saquon every year feels like. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's probably going to play this week, but he's missed a few weeks.
Etienne scored big last week, but I don't think that
2 weeks in a row.
He's not a player. I don't think that he is a player that week in and week out you can trust to get past that 20 mark. I do believe that Kelsey is that guy for him, but I think he needs 1 more, like you said. I think he needs 1 more staple piece.
And I think it's the wide receiver core, right? I mean, he's got, if you scroll down, I think he's got Garrett Wilson on bye. But besides that, you don't look at anybody there. I don't think any of those guys are ever projected over 12.5 per week for wide receivers. Like Hopkins, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, and then his starters this week
are Romeo Doubs and Olave.
That's, there's no number 1 receiver there. There's no guy that you can stick in a lineup every week and you're like, okay, he's going to give me double digits.
No, and you never feel good about having to play Javonte Williams in a flex position.
He burned me last year with the torn ACL.
And I think
never again.
I mean, obviously that's probably because he's got Garrett Wilson on bye, but it is. This could be a trap week for Dragon. This is an important matchup right here for both teams moving forward.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and move on to number 4, which is myself, the Bond County Coonhounds. Got a win last week. Needed it. Wasn't pretty. Got it done anyways.
Got a win this week.
Moved Justin Jefferson out for what I think is going to be one of the bigger trades as we look back on the year. With adding Mark Andrews, tight end has been such a bad position throughout the league. And I think I put my eggs in the Mark Andrews basket. He's a big target. And I've gotten quite literally 0 production out of the tight end position, and I've done pretty well for myself up until this point. Adding this piece, I think, helps me a lot. Wide receiver core is still pretty strong. I'm not playing Evans this week because I liked the way that my running backs did for me last week. And I think we're in a good spot. We've got Tennessee this week. We've got the Dragons the week after, and we've got the Cali Pigs in a little bit of a bye NATO in week 9. I feel confident where I will be sitting after week 9. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is historically, I think you've always put together juggernaut teams, and this is maybe the first time that you've ever had a team that's sitting at a 500 record 6 weeks into the year. But I think a lot of it is sort of unluckiness with Jefferson injury and whatnot. But I think you've got players that have turned up, right? Like Pacheco's really solidified himself in KC now. You didn't know what DeAndre Swift was going to look like heading into this year on the Eagles. He's their RB1 now. Ayuk's really taken another step forward, building off last year. Ken Walker, a guy that, when Charbonnet was drafted, we didn't know what the Seattle backfield was going to look like. He's still solidified himself as the RB1 there. So I think this team is still as dangerous as it's ever been. It just needs to start winning the games again to show it.
Mm-hmm. I think I feel very confident with this team, and I think I like where I'm at record wise because I think and we've seen it in years past, you just got to get into the playoffs and then quite literally anything will happen. So it's just getting your ticket punched. The bye ended up hurting both me and Torbeck last year. So maybe rolling into the playoffs, having to get a win that first week, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Right.
So let's move on to number 3. The St. Louis Looters, 4-2. Tough loss last week, but I won't sleep on the Looters. Other people are throwing out accusations of fraudulency. I'm giving them the respect for sure now, but I'll let you speak on that, Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to come straight out and say it. I've said it last year, and I'll say it this year. This team is fraudulent. It banks off of the shit offense of the Raiders. If Jacobs and Devontae Adams don't drop 30, he sucks ass. Like, he really does. And we saw it last year in the playoffs, like first round. I don't even know if he scored 100. In fact, if you actually look at the playoffs from last year, he has the worst scoring week of any playoff team ever in the GFA. Mm-hmm. So when when push comes to shove, this team folds like a cheap lawn chair. And they are just regular season juggernauts. They're kind of like the Dodgers almost. Every year they just choke in the playoffs.
Huh.
I think that'll happen again this year. I don't really like this team at all. Devontae Adams, injury prone. Cooper Kupp, been dealing with injury this year. Josh Jacobs is not good. He just has immense volume. Tyler Lockett, Marquise Hollywood-Brown, touchdown dependent. Darren Waller, glass. And Mahomes is Mahomes. So I can't say anything about that.
So maybe they're not frauds. They are exactly what they say they are. Whenever the lights are the brightest, they tend to shrivel up a little bit.
The lights get too bright in St. Louis, and I think it'll happen again this year. Last year, I think he only lost 1 game. This year, he's already lost 2. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses 2 or 3 more. He does play me again, so he has to watch out for that. And I don't even like the depth on this team. Like, if you just want to scroll a little bit, like, where does he get backup points?
Cam Akers?
I don't even know. I have no idea.
Scary Terry is here.
Scary Terry, also very touchdown dependent. And I think he has the other Rams run. He's got 4 of them. Okay, so
he's also got that woman from those dog commercials, McLaughlin.
Yes,
Sarah McLaughlin.
Mm-hmm.
No, he did get a touchdown the other day.
I I mean, it's just he just has to keep drafting Rams running backs to prop him up and inflate. I mean, his team is the equivalent of a penis pump. It's just self-inflated, and it has to keep using it, or else it'll deflate.
I will say this about the looters, though. So he's got a tough matchup this week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Week 8, he's got the Shadow Troop. Favorable matchup. Week 9, he's got the Colonels. Another favorable matchup. And then he's got the Dragons. Both of them are on a bye. I think anything can happen here.
Yeah, but right, regular season champ. He'll win games in the regular season. It's just, I just don't believe in this team. I really don't. I just don't see it.
Okay.
Long term.
But
yeah, hey, regular season, go for it, Torbeck. If you want to keep racking up regular season wins that don't mean anything, go for it, dog.
Well, let's move on to number 2 and number 1. Shouldn't be surprising. We've got the Bear Boobs and we've got the Clark County Crusaders. I've still got them at number 2 and number 1 for obvious reasons. They both they took losses in the same week, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, both had a chance to be 5-1.
But the potential of both their teams week in and week out is what puts them like at 2-1 at all times.
It's 1A and 1B.
Yeah, I mean, with Eckler, Allen, and Jamar Chase, I mean, at least right, and you're not even mentioning, you've got Chris Godwin here who can also get touchdown looks. He's got Joe Burrow, obviously, on a bye. Nico Collins has been really good. Tony Pollard, obviously. This team's got depth. This team is going to be there in the end. I'm not concerned about the loss last week. That's why he's not moving in the power rankings. Clark County Crusaders, you could argue that has a little bit of a depth issue. But when it is all said and done, Lamar Jackson could pop off at any point, throwing for 200, running for 300. Jacoby Myers has been incredible this year. Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle could show up with a 3-touchdown week at any point. As you said, 1A, 1B. That's why they will not move until further notice, until proven otherwise. I don't see a reason to at all.
Right. I definitely think Sam's team has a little bit more depth, but we've seen what the Crusaders can do. And regarding Kittle, he's always like a second half player. Like always the final 6 regular season games of the week, he always will turn up like 2 touchdowns a game. So I think he started off slow this year, but he always does. I'm not really worried about him. Yeah. He's
had his sparks. He has had some hurtful weeks, the 1.6 and the 0.8. But
you have to live with those.
You live with that when you're 4-2.
Yes.
So there's, no reason to panic for either team, I don't think. So this is gonna be a really interesting week. We've got predictions for this week. I'll run through mine, and then I guess you can run through yours. I've got the Coonhounds taking this week. They'll improve to 4-3, getting back to a winning record. I've got the Looters this week. I think I'm going to take the Looters. It's going to be very close. This is going to be one that comes down to Monday night. I feel like, let's see.
Yeah.
Sunday.
It's going to be.
No, it's going to come down to Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle on Monday night.
Yes, I agree.
So,
which is actually dangerous, though, because if CMC does not end up playing,
it is risky. But the things that I've been reading trend towards he's going to play.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't look like he suffered.
And it's going to be a get right game for San Francisco. I think it bodes well for Dylan. I like Sam this week for obvious reasons. I like the Creatures taking down Shadow Troop, giving them their 4th loss in a row. And then I like the Hitmen against the Dragons. Mike?
Yeah, I think you beat the Colonels. I'll take Dylan here.
Okay.
Just because I don't like Torbeck. I'll take the Boobs. I'll play spoiler. I'll take the Shadow Troop.
Ooh.
Just to play devil's advocate, and maybe that gives Rex some bulletin board material. And then I'm biased, so I'll also take myself.
I like it.
I am worried about Dragon. That's a 50-50 matchup. Same with Crusaders and Looters. So it's anybody's game. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Mike, your final words before we sign off here.
I think we got 3 tiers in the league. I think we got Crusaders and Boobs. Everybody else, 50 feet of shit, and then the Colonels.
Well said. Well said. Well, I appreciate you coming on. And I will see you all in week 8, halfway through.
Wow.